Hi, it's Graham Jackson here with James Zone Recreation. I'm here with the lovely Amber Rose. She's our Cosplayer of the Week for October 26th. I'm going to go ahead and ask you some questions, Amber, starting off with what led you to get into cosplay.
I got into cosplay sort of through Halloween. I wanted to be a schoolgirl one year, and my mom helped me make the costume. We based it off of the uniforms from Fruits Basket. Shortly after that, I went to my first anime convention and saw everybody in costume. So the next convention I went to, I wore my schoolgirl uniform there, and it just kind of went to the snowball effect.
That's awesome. We have a pretty similar story, right? Could you sum up some of your likes and dislikes about cosplay?
I really like cosplay because it allows me to be creative while also giving me guidelines. I find it difficult to be creative if somebody just says go at it. But with specific guidelines and a very specific goal to work towards, I can kind of use my creativity within those boundaries, and I really enjoy it. It's kind of like a puzzle trying to figure out what materials and what methods to use to get to this end goal. The main thing, and probably the only thing I dislike about cosplay, is how much money it takes. It can cost a lot to get the right materials and everything you need to come up with a really good cosplay.
So remember that, guys, it's hefty on the pockets. Let us know what your top 3 favorite cosplays you've seen are.
I don't really have a specific top 3 because I've seen so many amazing cosplays, so many amazing cosplayers. But in general, I really enjoy seeing Disney cosplays and Stormtroopers.
Nice. So all you Disney fans out there, make sure you guys go take a picture with her. So what are your most memorable cosplay experience?
I've been cosplaying since 2004, and I have so many memories from cosplaying for so long, but one that stands out was actually kind of recent. Last December, I was entering a cosplay contest with my boyfriend, and we were dressed as Pac-Man and Clyde, the orange ghost from Pac-Man. And these 2 little girls ran up to us, probably about 6 or 7 years old, and said, "We hope you win." And we did end up placing in the cosplay contest. So.
That's awesome. Do you buy or make most of your cosplay outfits?
I make most of them. When I can, I'll buy something similar and alter it, but I find that pretty much the only way to get a 100% accurate cosplay is to make it from scratch.
Most definitely. What was your most difficult thing for you to create one of your cosplay?
The single most difficult piece was my boots for my Yoko cosplay from Gurren Lagann. It was my first time making boot covers, it was my first time working with vinyl, and it was just very difficult in general, and each boot took about 6 to 8 hours to make. But overall, my most difficult costume was probably Amaterasu from Okami. It was really early on when I started cosplaying, and it was just a big project to take on that early.
For your boots, did you use any type of guides or anything to help you?
I did find one tutorial online, but it wasn't exactly what I was looking for. If I remember right, it was for using stretchy material, and the vinyl was not stretchy, so I kind of just had to go at it.
Most definitely. Can you reveal any of your future cosplays that you have for us?
I'm currently working on Ironette from Iron Man 2. They're the dancers in the beginning of the movie. And Callie from Ugly Americans.
Nice. Can't wait. Look forward to seeing them. Do you have any dream cosplay or cosplayers that you would like to meet?
I don't really have any dream cosplays anymore. When I did, it was changing a lot, and I found it more discouraging than encouraging because it was a really big goal, and I find it a lot easier to work with smaller goals. And so having a goal that I knew at the time I couldn't achieve was just kind of discouraged me. As for cosplayers, I'm always open and eager to meet new cosplayers and veteran cosplayers and people new to the scene. But there's no really specific people that I would like to meet.
Okay. Have you ever done any group cosplays or group shoots?
My biggest group cosplay was I was Yoko from Gurren Lagann. My friend asked me to be in her cosplay group, and I think total there were about 10 of us. We did do one photo shoot. It was very small, but we're all still updating our costumes a little bit to make them perfect before we do any big photo shoots.
Have you ever been to a convention not in cosplay? How was your experience with that?
A few times I'll either go without a cosplay if I'm just not in the mood, or I'll go a few days with a cosplay and do the last day without. It's definitely different than going in cosplay. It's a lot quieter and you're by yourself a lot more. And my feelings about that definitely depend on my mood at the time. If I'm wanting to be left alone, it's great. But if I'm really bored that day, there's nothing really to do. Then it's a little disappointing. It's also harder to meet people when you're not in cosplay because you don't have that instant connection of, something obvious that you have in common.
Most definitely. It's like when you're not in cosplay, is that one of the things that you use to take like photos?
Yeah, I do occasionally take photos of other cosplayers. Most of the time, I forget my camera. 90% of the time, I don't have my camera on me.
What are some of the photographers you work with, and are there any that you look forward to working with?
Just off the top of my head, I've worked with Weiss Studios, Blizzard Tarek Photography, and Visual Pie Studios. I always enjoy working with Weiss Studios. The photographer's name is Dana, and she's just really fun to work with, and she takes great photos, and her edits on the photos are very good also.
Nice. So you guys might want to check her out and look for her at some of the upcoming conventions. What are some of the conventions that you plan to attend to in the future?
I attend Fanime every year. It was the first major convention that I attended other than small local ones. And it's always a lot of fun. There's always more stuff to do that I haven't done the previous year, and there's always new different events to go to. And then of course there's staple events like the masquerade and the dances and stuff. And someday I would like to attend Comic-Con, even though it's really crowded and just getting more crowded every year, and not necessarily the best place to wear a big cosplay because it's so crowded. But I think it's just something that anybody in the convention circuit of the cosplay scene wants to do once at least.
Yeah, like we were speaking about it earlier, it's kind of like the mecca of all conventions. What is one of your biggest advice on cosplaying and conventions?
Definitely plan ahead and research as much as you possibly can, and budget your money. This goes for cosplay and conventions as well. One of the worst feelings is running out of money halfway through a project or halfway through a convention and not being able to eat for the next week. So just keep track of your money, and other than that, just have fun.
Most definitely. So remember, you guys, budget is the most important thing. Are you registered to any cosplay websites, forums, etc.?
I am on cosplay.com. You can find me under cosplay_rose. But that's the only one that I'm on because keeping a social networking site up to date I've found takes a lot of time, especially if you're really active in the hobby. So I just decided to focus on that one and just keep that one as up to date as possible.
Very good advice. Do you have any websites or anything you would like to promote?
I have 3 websites, 2 blogs, and one for selling things. The first blog is cosplaylife.blogspot.com, and that's where I document my progress on my cosplays, talk about upcoming cosplays. Sometimes I post tutorials on things that I've done. The second blog is conventionlife.blogspot.com, and that one I just talk about the conventions I've gone to and review them and kind of give them like a rating on how good they are and everything, or how much fun I had at them. And then my website is fleecehats.webs.com, and I sell homemade fleece hats and a few other things. This is one of the fleece hats right here.
So if you guys would like to purchase that, you guys can go on gzronline.com, and she's right there on our homepage as well, having a link to that. Let's show off some of your cosplay, some of your props and your outfits that you've done.
I'm going to start with this one. This was the first thing I ever made completely on my own. It's a vest for Mello from Death Note, and it's completely lined on the inside and has the functional zipper. I did have some help on it as far as instructions go. I was at the time enrolled in a costume construction class, and I did end up asking my teacher what order to put together in. Obviously you can't put the zipper in first, but you can't do that last either, so I was kind of stuck as far as that went.
Oh, that's cool. Especially for your first one.
Yeah. It was it was a good first project because it's something you can find a pattern for and find instructions for, and it's a very basic piece of clothing, and it took very minimal skills. You could just use very basic skills on it, and if you messed up, it's just something you can redo. This was a slightly more recent cosplay. It's for Franziska von Karma from Ace Attorney, and it's 2 vests, which are also both completely lined, although neither has a zipper. And then I made all of the buttons here also, but they're not functional buttons. I had to go with snaps to hold it on. I don't know if you can see that from the camera. And this one's also completely lined.
Oh, nice.
So this was kind of easy for me, having already made one vest that was very similar. So yeah, it was a fun project. It wasn't too. It was challenging in the way that it's creating it is always somewhat of a challenge, but it wasn't overly difficult. I really enjoyed making it, both of these. And then here I have one of my more recent projects. It's Yoko's rifle from Gurren Lagann, which is kind of falling apart because it's still in progress. Thank you. It's made entirely out of cardboard and craft foam. And paint, obviously. And this, I just kind of dove head first into this. I don't know if that was a smart thing to do or not.
Always is.
I kind of did some scaling on it as far as how tall it should be, but I never drafted a pattern for any of the pieces or anything. And my favorite thing about it is that it splits in half for storage and transportation. It has 2 pieces. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but yeah.
So mostly what you used was cardboard?
It's mostly cardboard. There are like the curved part back here. This curved part back here is craft foam, and the curved part here. But other than that, I think it's all cardboard. And then the end of it, which to comply with convention standards and California law, has to be sealed shut and has to be orange. So I did that on the inside, hoping that I could take pictures from the side and you wouldn't be able to tell. But some conventions actually require that it sticks out a little bit, so I have to fix that.
If you guys have any comments or questions for Amber, go ahead and leave it in the comments section or email us at 2009gzr@gmail.com. And have a good one.